I'm 76 years old, and I remember the exact moment everything changed. I was standing in my own kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd cooked thousands of meals, where I'd raised my children, where I'd made coffee every morning for 40 years. I was holding a pot of boiling water, and I couldn't remember why. Not for a second or two, for almost a minute. My hand started shaking. The water sloshed near the edge. And somewhere deep inside me, a voice I'd been ignoring for months finally screamed, "You're not safe here anymore." But let me go back a little. Because it didn't start there. It never does it? It started with small things. Things I told myself didn't matter. Things I laughed off. I'd forget where I put my glasses, and then find them in the refrigerator. I'd start sentences and lose them halfway through. I'd go into a room and stand there, confused, trying to remember what I came for. My daughter would call and ask if I was eating properly, and I'd say yes, of course, even though I'd had toast for dinner 3 nights in a row, because cooking felt too complicated. Have you noticed this happening to you too? These little moments that you brush away because admitting them feels like giving up. I live alone. I've lived alone since my husband died 7 years ago. At first, it felt like freedom. I could do things my own way. No one to answer to, no one to worry about. But somewhere along the way, freedom started feeling like something else. It started feeling like isolation, like risk. Like a test I wasn't sure I could pass anymore. The thing about living alone after 70 is that no one sees the small failures. No one's there when you skip meals because you're too tired to cook. No one notices when you wear the same clothes for 3 days. No one's watching when you nearly slip getting out of the shower, when you catch yourself on the towel rack and stand there, heart pounding, thinking about what would have happened if you'd fallen. Who would have found you? When I started avoiding the stairs. My bedroom's upstairs, but I'd sleep on the couch more and more often because climbing those stairs at night felt dangerous. My knees hurt. My balance wasn't what it used to be. One evening I missed a step going down and grabbed the railing so hard I bruised my palm. I didn't tell anyone. What would I say? That I'm getting old. That my own house is becoming a trap. Then there was the day I left the stove on. I'd made tea, or tried to, and I walked away. I was in the living room watching television when I smelled something strange. It took me too long to realize what it was. The kettle had boiled dry. The metal was starting to discolor. The smoke alarm finally went off, and I rushed into the kitchen, my hands shaking so badly I could barely turn the knob. I opened all the windows and stood there in the cold air, crying. Not because of the kettle, because I knew this was serious. I knew I was becoming a danger to myself. But I didn't tell anyone about that either. Because telling someone meant admitting I couldn't do this anymore. It meant admitting that living alone after 75, maybe it wasn't safe. Maybe it wasn't smart. And admitting that felt like the beginning of the end. It felt like saying, I'm ready for a nursing home. I'm ready to lose everything I've worked for. I'm ready to stop being myself. When was the last time this felt easy? When was the last time you moved through your own home without thinking about it? Without calculating every step, without that low hum of fear in the back of your mind? My daughter started visiting more often. She'd look around the house with worried eyes. She'd open the fridge and see expired food. She'd notice the pile of mail I hadn't opened. She'd ask gentle questions. Mum, are you sure you're okay here? Mum, have you thought about what happens if something goes wrong? And I'd smile and say I was fine. I'd get defensive. I'd tell her I wasn't helpless, I wasn't senile, I was still perfectly capable. But at night, alone in that house, I wasn't so sure. The breaking point came 3 months ago. That day with the boiling water, I was making soup. I'd filled the pot and put it on the stove, and then I just stood there, holding it, steam rising into my face, and my mind went blank. Completely blank. I couldn't remember what I was doing. I couldn't remember what soup I was making, or why, or what came next. The pot got heavier and heavier in my hands. My arms started to hurt, and I just stood there, frozen, terrified, until finally something clicked and I put it down before I dropped it. I sat at the kitchen table for an hour after that. I didn't cry. I just sat there, looking at my hands, thinking about all the things they used to do without question. Thinking about how aging and independence don't always go together, no matter how much we want them to. Thinking about how losing independence doesn't happen all at once. It happens in these tiny moments. These little failures that add up until one day you're standing in your kitchen holding boiling water and you realize you're not safe anymore. That night, I called my daughter. I told her everything. The stove, the stairs, the forgetting, the fear. She didn't say, "I told you so." She just listened. And then she said, "Mum, we'll figure this out together. You don't have to do this alone." And something in me broke open. Because I'd been doing it alone. I'd been so afraid of losing my independence that I'd isolated myself completely. I'd been so afraid of the nursing home, of being put somewhere, of losing control, that I'd put myself in real danger. We talked about options. Not a nursing home, not yet, maybe not ever, but help. Someone to check in. Meals delivered. A medical alert button. Maybe, eventually, moving closer to her, or having someone live with me. Small changes. Gradual ones. Changes that let me keep my dignity, while also keeping me safe. I'm still in my house. I'm still living alone, technically, but I'm not doing it alone anymore. And that's made all the difference. I'm not ashamed now. I'm not hiding my limitations. I'm working with them. I'm building around them. I'm learning that asking for help isn't the same as giving up. It's actually the opposite. It's fighting to stay independent in the ways that matter most. If you're watching this and you're 65, 70, 75, 80, and you're living alone, I want you to hear this. Those small signs you're ignoring, they matter. That moment when you caught yourself before you fell. That time you forgot the stove. That day you couldn't open the jar and you just didn't eat instead of asking for help. Those moments are your body and your mind telling you something. Not that you're worthless. Not that you're finished. But that it's time to be honest. It's time to reach out. It's time to build a support system before you actually need it desperately. There's still time to make these choices yourself. There's still time to plan, to adjust, to create a life that's safe and dignified and as independent as possible. But there's not unlimited time. And waiting until there's a crisis, waiting until you're hurt or worse, that's when you lose control. That's when other people make decisions for you. So, I'm asking you, please, think about this. Talk to someone you trust. Look honestly at your daily life. Are you really okay? Or are you just pretending because you're afraid? Because I was afraid too. And that fear nearly cost me everything. If this story meant something to you, if you recognized yourself in any part of it, I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling me your story, because I know I'm not alone in this, and neither are you. Hit the like button if you found this honest and helpful. We need to talk about these things. We need to stop pretending that aging doesn't change us, that living alone after 70 is always safe, that independence means doing everything yourself. Real independence means knowing when to ask for help. And that's something I'm still learning every single day.